I interviewed a chap called Alec Boy-Borry, who was nicknamed Boy because he was the youngest member of the SAS pretty much at the end of World War II. He lied about his age when he signed up. So he was a teenager when he got interviewed by Blair Paddy Mayne, who was the commander of the SAS at the time and obviously the star of the BBC show Rogue Heroes at the moment. And Alex spoke to me about what it was like being under Mayne's command. I mean, Paddy Mayne is, this iconic figure, arguably the most highly decorated British Army soldier from Second World War. 4 Distinguished Service Orders amongst many other medals. So a talismanic figure. And Alex said, look, we would have followed Paddy Mayne to the jaws of hell. Why would we have done that? He said, one, because you knew if anyone had the chance to bring you out of hell alive, it was Paddy Mayne, because he had the most brilliant battle instinct and battle nostril. He said, two, because we knew he always led from the front and would never ask us to do anything he would not do himself. And that bred ultimate respect. He said, three, probably most importantly of all, we knew how much he cared about all the men under his command. Every single loss hit him very personally. So if somebody cared that much about you, you knew he'd do everything in his power to bring you out alive. So an incredibly moving interview. And I mean, Alec was, I think it was 99 at the time. I interviewed him 2 years ago. He sadly passed away since. And because it was such a powerful interview, I went away and I commissioned a portrait of Paddy Mayne from a friend of mine who's a war artist. And then we got a print made of it. And we took it up and gave it to Alec and hung it above his bed. And he was like so touched. And he said, basically with tears in his eyes, now I'll have my former commander watching over me, during my final days. So yeah,
wow.
Very special.
Yeah, I got goosebumps just hearing that, man. That's amazing. So what I'm picking up here, and this is why I love this stuff. So you must have, out of all the conversations over the years, you must have taken so much away from that on a personal level as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I give a talk quite often about several World War II and more recent operations, and the lessons I drew. And at the end, I say, right, these are the lessons. This is what encapsulates the Special Forces mindset. So the first thing is meritocracy, merit above rank. It doesn't matter. And this was how the SAS was founded. It doesn't matter what your rank is. Doesn't matter what your background is. Doesn't matter how rich or poor you are, what your level of education is. We don't care. All we care is what you can bring to the table, what you can bring to the table as an operator, and you will be listened to and respected, no matter whether you're the colonel or the lowest trooper. So that's brilliant. And it's not just brilliant because then you get a rich plethora of ideas, unexpected, kind of directions, but it's also brilliant because this is the great psychology behind it. It empowers everyone. It empowers every single person in the team because even the person of the lowest rank knows he's respected and will be listened to and is empowered, right? And part of the reason they did that was because they used to say, look, you're part of a 10-man patrol. All the other 9 get killed or captured. You're the lowliest rank. It doesn't make a blind bit of difference. You have the ability to go ahead and prosecute the mission on your own if you have to. So those are 2 of the key elements you pull out. And the third thing is, it's going to sound counterintuitive, but it's imagination. If you don't have Special Forces soldiering is predicated on the concept of thinking the unthinkable, and not just thinking the unthinkable, but then doing it. Because if you can think the unthinkable, clearly the enemy will never have conceived that you might attack that way because it's unthinkable. And therefore you then have to have the guts to go and carry it out. So the best SAS missions, the best special boat service missions, they're always the ones which are completely left field. And you think, yeah, no one would have seen that coming. So to be able to think the unthinkable, you need a fantastic imagination, and you need to empower people to say the unthinkable and not think they're going to get laughed at or shot down in flames or all those things that normally happens. The other reason why it's such genius in terms of elite operations, if you can imagine it, right? In the SS in World War II, pretty much first name terms, okay? Whatever your rank was. It was very, very familiar. None of that kind of rigid yes sir, no sir hierarchy, which is in the rest of the military. And those individuals who served in these units realized very quickly that the only discipline that was required of you was self-discipline. No one was going to shout at you. No one was going to yell orders. No one was going to, tear your stripes off if you stepped out of line. The only thing that was going to happen if you stepped out of line, was you would be returned to your unit, RTU'd. And the very idea that you might get thrown out of this exalted brotherhood and go back to that unit, which didn't care about your ideas, didn't explain to you what was going on, didn't empower you and didn't respect you, meant that your discipline was completely self-imposed and self-discipline. It's another, brilliant part of the genius of Special Forces operations. And then in terms of leadership, and it's a really important lesson,